Common across scholarly theorizations of the anti-citizen is a consensus that certain misbehaviors enacted by the individual relegate her to a status of anti-citizen. In other words, these behaviors transform someone who was previously a citizen in good standing into an anti-citizen. These anti-citizenship behaviors also disrupt the well-oiled business-as-usual functioning of the organization or society, and perhaps might even corrupt others, with the potential, if taken up en masse, to unravel the very fabric that holds together the organizational or societal status quo. For instance, Scott A. Myers describes what he calls student anti-citizenship classroom behavior, describing intentional acts of defiance in which a student engages to disrupt a classroom. Instructors and students have expectations for how students should not communicate in the classroom, namely because these messages and behaviors can be destructive or disruptive to the classroom environment. Student anti-citizenship classroom behavior we consider to be the verbal and nonverbal communication behaviors in which students intentionally engage for a specific reason, regardless of whether it is articulated to their instructors or their classmates, that disrupt the flow or function of the learning environment. Myers goes on to offer a typology of student anti-citizenship classroom behavior: participatory or contributing to classroom discussions in a disruptive manner, including arguing with instructors, or dominating class discussion, or not participating. Technological, that is, using devices for non-class purposes. Physical, that is, students moving their bodies in ways that distract other students, like leaving class early, or fidgeting or acting restless. And etiquette, that is, violating classroom norms and basic courteous behavior, like eating in class, or showing up smelling of alcohol or smoke. Observing similar conduct in their ethnographic works, scholars like Douglas E. Foley and Paul Wills note that such behaviors among working class and poor youth, which typically positioned them as failures, were in fact acts of political agency, as classroom disruptions and resistance formed the basis of their rejection of capitalist culture. The robust nature of Myers's typology suggests that there are very few ways for any student to completely avoid descending into anti-citizen status, yet it is highly unlikely that educators view or treat all their students and their violations as equally disruptive and destructive. In fact, research on school discipline consistently finds that despite racial parity and violating classroom norms, students of color are overwhelmingly disproportionately meted out formal punishments like suspension and expulsion. When considered against the disproportionality phenomenon or the many other ways that race factors significantly into classroom-level disparities, it is hard to conceive that the anti-citizen is the sole architect of his own alienation.